So this is the AMA presentation that we've done for you guys. I hope you'll enjoy it, and I hope we answer all your questions again. So just a small recap about CrunchDAO for those that don't know CrunchDAO yet and that want to join. Basically, we are a DAO of 2,000 data scientists and 400 PhDs. Actually, when I say 2,000 data scientists, it's getting more and more. So now it's not an updated number, but we are a bit more now. And what we do is we work together to predict the stock market. Don't hesitate to follow us on Twitter if it's not done. It's always a pleasure to see the member following us. And let's go. So maybe first I will go through all the questions that we've been asked, and then I will ask all the Matteo, Jean, and Arnaud to answer all of the questions step by step, question by question. The first question is, when will the white paper be published? The second is, when will you switch 6 datasets to 1 in live tournaments? We have also another question. Can we, as DAO member, ask for the tokenomics distribution of Crunch? Then we received some comments about penalties that could be a bit harsh because for the people that are not submitting or that are forgetting to submit once. There is another question about the hedge fund. Has the hedge fund been set up? If yes, can we get the public details, and can we request CrunchDAO to publish the 2023 roadmap? So I hope that that we will cover all your questions. By the way, we are live, so don't hesitate to ask any question you want. We are here to answer. And I will start with the first question about when will the white paper be published. So first, thank you very much for asking this question. We are currently drafting the V1 of the white paper, so it's being ready. It's a long process. It takes time, but what we really want, guys, is you to contribute to this white paper. We want to write it together. But because it's a bit complex exercise, we are drafting the first version of the white paper, and we will share it on the DeSci platform so that you can contribute, add, remove, anything you want. We want it to be something that is very, that you can contribute to, and we are looking forward to it. So in the next weeks, I think we will come to use the V1 of the white paper. Then we have another question. When will you switch 6 datasets to 1 in live tournaments? I guess it's Jean that wants to take this question.
Yes, hello guys. So actually we needed to take some time on our side to make this move. Why we took our time on this? Because we didn't want it to be in the situation where we will have to change the master dataset too many times in the future, right? Because every time we change the master dataset and we change the feature engineering, we change maybe the target, we change how it is built, it may cause you to change and to redo all the work. So obviously this is very not practical. And so we spend time, we work a lot with, Matteo worked a lot on the feature engineering. You probably had time, and I hope you had time to have a look to the paper that he wrote on the feature engineering that he's proposing for the master dataset. So the master dataset will be the one combining the 6 datasets together. And it is very, very innovative. It's it's a great work. It's super interesting. It's ready now. We are performing the last checks, and hopefully it can be in production very soon. Now, this move in production will not be as trivial as we think, because we used to play 6 different strategies every week, right? So we have this rotation of dataset that we are used to, that you are used to. We have the scoring that is done on 6 different strategies, and all of this needs to find a way to enroll right properly. So what we are thinking to do, and we will detail everything in the documentation, is to is to start to place the master dataset, but continue to average your performance on the new dataset with the previous dataset for the following 5 weeks after the launch. So you have time to ramp up and become as good as possible on this new dataset. After 5 weeks, the plan is to only be scored on the master dataset. This creates also a new dimension in the scoring, because before the averaging was done on the 6 datasets, now we will be averaging only on 1 dataset. So for the moment, we will score on 12 weeks, since it was the case in the beginning, because we had 6 datasets that was averaging 2 last participation. This time we will have 1 dataset that will be averaged for the next 12 weeks. In my opinion, it's very not optimal. We could definitely find a better way, maybe some weighting mechanism that may smooth the average. Maybe it's a bit too long. We'll discuss that. That was one of the question, Ben, about.
We had a lot of, just maybe to recall, and it's another question, but we can take some time to answer this question, or this statement, I would say more now, is that I've seen many people coming to me or chatting in the Discord and saying, well, it's not fair because I don't understand. I don't understand why my payout is so low, and I'm submitting, and then we dig in the problem, we check in the backend, and what we see is that people are actually missing some rounds. So we have actually, Jean, yes, some people that feels that it's a bit harsh, this penalty. So what can you say on that, and do you have some solution for this?
I think we should all discuss this. Obviously, one easy way would be averaging less participation. So if you miss 1 round, you could, instead of averaging 1 quarter, this is how it works now. So when your track record is like following you on the quarterly basis, right? It's pretty long, because if you have something that happened and you have a mistake in your code, or something happened wrongly on a weekend, you will pay this mistake for 12 weeks. On the other hand, the consistency is very important for us. So I guess this is to be determined with all of us, what do we want and what is the most optimal. But final word on the move for the master dataset. Obviously, it should come very soon, and we are ready to push it. We are working on the last detail, and I think it's a matter of couple of weeks. But on your side, it will be also a big change for the community and for all of us. We will all have to re-engineer a new model and rework on the master dataset. So really looking forward for it.
Cool. We are waiting for this master dataset.
And by the way, it's released also. You can already have a look at it and start working on it. It's already released. The feature engineering is released also.
Yes.
So don't hesitate to.
Please don't hesitate. Like, you can start building your own model on the master dataset. Actually, you should do it right now, and I think we will open an API endpoint so that you can also have it maybe by Friday. But you should start right away to build your model on the master dataset, because it's the future, and it will save you time when we switch, or you can improve, starting to improve right away your performance. So that's a good thing to start now. Okay, then I think we can move to the next question, which is, can we as DAO members ask for the tokenomics distribution of Crunch? Currently, more than 90% is held by the treasury and the team. So I have, I think, Arno that is taking this question. And Arno, I hope you see the graph. Well,
I guess this will be shared in the white paper, which is, you're going to talk about it, which is going to be out very soon. But the goal, basically, we want to share the benefits of the research from CrunchDAO with everybody in the community, so any stakeholders. As stakeholders, we have obviously the investors, people who participate in the token sales. So we have allocated some tokens to that. We have already sold something like 1.4 million tokens in private sales. And in total, if we add the strategy sale that we're going to do and the listing, we believe we will have 33% of the tokens allocated to these stakeholders. The other very important thing for us, obviously, is to have tokens to data scientists who contribute in the tournaments, and also tokens to quants who participate in Crunch Alpha. So the tournaments is the weekly tournaments where people can give predictions and get rewards. And the quant part, the Crunch Alpha, is people who can provide a signal. And basically, we are remunerating today with token from the treasury, tokens that are currently held by CrunchDAO. But the goal is to release 14% of those tokens over time to the tournament and 14% to the quants in Crunch Alpha. The idea is at the beginning we give this token from the treasury, but as you know, CrunchDAO is a research team, and we're selling this research. As we sell the research, we will get Crunch back to the community that will be distributed. So the idea is that maybe at some point we'll have to do an airdrop to deliver all these tokens to you guys, and obviously it will be given based on the people who contributed over time. So this is the overall idea. I don't know if I missed something, Jean or Ben, if you want to add something.
No, I think it's quite clear. And by the way, Arnaud, when you are talking about Crunch Alpha, I think that you are spoiling a bit, because yes, it's for those who don't know yet, and actually no one knows, we are currently releasing and working hard on this feature so that you can share your signal with us. But I guess we'll talk about it more in depth in the next weeks. But yes, it's something we are working on, and that's something that is very important for the community. So that's just what I wanted to say.
Yeah, and about so the token sales, the tokens data sales. Remember that many people that are buying the tokens, they intend to access the service later. So that's also a provision that they do on the service, because they may, acquire our knowledge at a cheaper price if they invest into the project earlier and buy the token before.
Great. Let's move on to the next subject about the hedge fund. We have a question of someone asking if the hedge fund has been set up, and if yes, can we get the public details about the same, asset under management filings, and if not, what are the timelines? Arnaud.
Yes.
Can you share some details about that?
Yeah. So first of all, as I said just previously, CrunchDAO is not a hedge fund. CrunchDAO, it's a research team of data scientists giving predictions and quant giving signal, and we ensemble that together to have a ranking. You can call it a ranking, a signal, even portfolios. And this is what the research team is selling. CrunchDAO is selling this signal to different clients. So the idea for us is that the clients will be financial institutions who can set up managed accounts. So basically, we can create an account with a financial institution's prime broker, so that they can manage some AUM, and CrunchDAO will be remunerated for this service, a percentage of the AUM. The reason why we are thinking about doing this with managed account, it's because it's more transparent. The client has the custody of the AUM, and it's totally transparent. They know exactly what they're trading, what we're trading. They can see everything. So we believe it's a better marketing approach to sell our signal. But in order to do that, because we've discussed with prime brokers like JP Morgan or UBS, to name a few, and they all said that in order to do this, to create managed account for large institutional clients, you need to create a track record. So, and the track record has to be a real track record in a fund with an auditor. So basically, we decided to set up as a separate entity a hedge fund, traditional hedge fund in Cayman, like 70% of the hedge funds in the world, with Deloitte as the auditor. And we're going to start trading the signal, basically. So CrunchDAO will sell the signal starting next month to this hedge fund. And that will create the track record because we'll be able to share this track record. And so you have to think about, like, let's say we, in few months, we managed $100 million. From this $100 million, roughly $2 million per year will go back to CrunchDAO. So we'll go back to the community, to the data scientists, and we'll replace slowly but surely the treasury tokens that we're using today, that we're giving out today. Is it okay?
Thank you very much. Yes. So yeah, I think it's one of the common mistakes that the people are doing, is that they think that CrunchDAO is a hedge fund. Well, it's not a hedge fund. CrunchDAO is a research team that produce financial insights, and we sell these financial insights, and we get a fee based for this financial insight. We are selling this financial insight. We are getting money from this financial insight, but we are not a hedge fund. We are a research team, and that's a big difference. Let's go to the next question then. Oh, this one is yes. It was a bit. We try to understand the best your question, so I hope we will bring you the best answer. How do you plan to attain the decentralization in token distribution? How do you plan to allocate Crunch to different entities? Jean.
So yes, so let us know if we understood the question correctly. But what I understand here is that when will we have an automated, a decentralized token distribution system, right? So if that is the meaning of the question, the main problem that we will face to implement that, and that we are facing today, is that we are studying off-chain asset. Right now, the product that we are building is composed of more than 800 US equity, which is an off-chain asset. And so to score the submission of the cruncher, we would have to rely on oracles. Maybe this is currently the only option. And tracking 800 assets with oracles may be very, very complex. So we really want to think about that. We want to implement that, obviously. But right now, the focus is so much into the go-to-market for the research team. Today, we have these opportunities. I think we should focus mainly on the go-to-market, and maybe on the following quarter of the year, we will be able to work on this. We definitively need some help from the community on that, some ideas. What are the protocols that we could work with to make this automated distribution? There is solution we could. I mean, we are already thinking about using maybe IPFS with some private computing. Maybe that could be an option. But to be honest, it's a pretty complex system that we will have to implement. But challenging and super exciting, definitively on the roadmap.
Yeah.
I wanted to add something. The scoring is also based on the private proprietary data from MSCI Barra. So it's not possible for us also to share this data to share the computation of the scoring. That's also an issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we will have to rely on confidential computing maybe to do that. That's probably the only solution. People are doing that, so it's just a matter of time and ordering the resources. What is the most important right now for the DAO? In my opinion, the go-to-market is definitively a need, so we can manage to have this cash flow before burning all the reserve tokens that we have allocated. It's looking good for the moment. We are really well in time. And that's also thanks to you guys. So good job. Now we just need to implement the last steps of this, and then we could make the system more sophisticated and more robust.
Yeah, I guess that's a plan totally to attain this decentralization that we all seek. But as said, there is an order of priority, if I mean, and today the priority is also at setting up legally the DAO so that you also have rights, you know. And this is also a way for us to attain this decentralization, is to make sure that everyone is equal, everyone has a right to say, and that there are no shareholders. And so that's something that is very important. And yes, technically we are waiting for some solutions. So please, let's contribute to this. If you have any idea, please reach out to us. But in the meantime, we are still working. It's not because we are not able to find this elegant solution for this decentralization that we are not working on it. We are working on it, but on the other side, which is more legally speaking.
Yeah. So when you set up it legally as a foundation or an association, then there is no more shareholders, so there is no more dividends given to some investors, and all the value is redistributed to the community and to the people that really take part into the project. That's very important for us. The moment it will be enforced by a centralized entity, which is a country, which is pretty strong. I mean, it's legally binding, so you cannot do whatever you do in an association or in a foundation. You have to be transparent. You have to give complete transparency on what you are doing. You are being controlled, so it's pretty binding, and it's already pretty strong in terms of reinsurance, in terms of security for the group.
Great, and please don't hesitate to ask your question if you have. We are waiting for it. You can do this. We can do it. We are live now, so please. Yeah, so we received this comment on the penalties and no submission that are a bit harsh. We are sorry for that, as said. But yeah, maybe we can. It's a discussion that we need to have. But maybe yes, we can have this average on 3 weeks after we implement the master data sets. But for now, it will continue. It's very important to have consistency for the meta model. If we are not consistent, then the performance will be lower, and then it's just because you are missing around. You are like the quality of the performance will be lower, and then it will be everyone that will be penalized. So it's a choice that we need to make together.
I mean, yes. If we try to translate this into the real world right now, we are you missing some days at work? Like, can you do not come, or can you do not deliver? It could happen. So that's true. We maybe need some joker, maybe, or some option that could maybe help us to do not suffer from a miss. But still, you know, we need you, and we need everyone to be consistent and super serious with submitting every week.
Yeah, just before we move on to the roadmap, guys, because I think it's maybe the most exciting thing about this AMA now. We have written 3 different roadmaps: one for the products, one for the community, one for the decentralized science. You will see we have a lot to do. And you see also that we've done a lot, and maybe, yes, it's true, we are not communicating in the best way every time. We try to say everything we do, but sometimes we are just not saying it because it's too technical, or we feel that it's maybe not the right time. But now with this roadmap, you'll be able to see what we've done and where we are going. And also, and more important, you will be able to suggest modification on the roadmap and to contribute to this roadmap. So it's where we are waiting for your contribution. So let's start with the roadmap, the product roadmap, and we will take it point by point, and we'll explain everything we are doing. So the first point is on setting up the fund for track record. Arnaud?
Yes, well, so this is something that's it's taking time. Actually, it's not that as easy as opening a bank account because there are regulators. You need administrators, auditors, prime broker also. But we are now almost 100% finished. There's still some little fine tuning, but it's the trading in the hedge fund for the track record should start 1st of March. Okay, do you want me to go for the next one also, the Alpha from community, or?
Yeah, just maybe it's important to say that the fund is, again, is not part of the DAO. It's two different things. We are setting up the fund as a track record, but it's two different things, Arnaud.
Yeah, and it's basically it's a client. It's a client from CrunchDAO buying the research and paying a fee every month for the research. So basically, this will be very transparent because paying the fee means transforming dollars into Crunch. So that will be almost like, actually, it will be on chain. Okay.
Great. So let's go for Alpha, yeah, of course.
So I don't know how much we say about this Alpha, because we said we will give it for explain it maybe later. Just it's a very simple for you guys to understand. In the data set, we have features. Alpha, Crunch Alpha is the idea that some people could get data, have quant expertise, and could actually give us some signal that we could test. And obviously, it will mean that this signal will have to come every week, just like the submission for predictions in the tournament. And we have to measure the quality and the stability of this signal and make sure that you're able to provide it every week, so that we maybe at some point can include it in the trading, in the signal to add it to the ensemble. So we've already tested it. Yeah, we have some great quant who have performed excellent signals so far. But we will open it because we've done it on a one-by-one basis in the stealth mode. But now we're going to open it and we're going to launch it pretty soon. Maybe maybe Jean, you can tell us more about the date of the launch, or.
So currently we have a lot of things ready. As you can see, they are the green. Box here. So all this is ready to get delivered. So we have this, and we are just waiting for the right moment to start the program. The Alpha Provider programs have been existing actually, but it was more of a stealth mode initiative before. Like we were talking with some of you, and I see some of you already also in the chat now that have been participating in those programs. Sometimes people came with an idea and they just needed some data, so we helped and we found some resources to find this data. Or sometimes it was other situation. The goal is to find expertise from you guys, and what we want, the philosophy behind that, it's anybody will be able to send a signal, but we won't trade the signal as it is. I mean, we would need to meet you. We will need to discuss with you. We'll need to go back and forth and make sure that this IP that you are ready to share with the community on a weekly basis is solid, and this will take time. But we'll give all the detail about Crunch Alpha at the release.
Yes, Jeremy, Alpha Provider, we are waiting for your signal.
Live score only, yes. Obviously, that was a move that we did at the end of the summer, and it come with the target before that is a bit under. Now, the very exciting things that is going to come and that we told at the beginning of the season that we're going to do was one data set. And this one data set came with a very exciting new feature engineering. And Matteo, I'm going to hand it to you for this.
Yeah, thank you. I hope you can hear me well. So I just shared, by the way, in the chat, the link to the paper, so the DCI paper that was actually peer-reviewed by a few members. The idea is that we needed to put together data sets which are physically different. Let me use this word. So they have a different meaning, different units, different behavior in terms of statistical properties and so on. So we needed to be able to somehow combine apples with pears and combine them to get something that makes sense from a machine learning perspective. A dataset that has the stationarity property and orthogonality to risk models property that we needed to have in order to be able to align the fitness function, basically. So the thing we use to score tournament players with the performance of the signal, which once again is ensembled to produce a ranking, and this ranking together with some other work builds a portfolio, which is the signal, is the product. So it's important to align all the steps, the incentives, all the steps, and be sure that when we ask for some kind of fitness maximization, this is actually what's needed to obtain performance. And all these considerations, you can read the paper. Also, you can see, I think, online already, a presentation we gave at Abu Dhabi Global Market a couple of weeks ago, in which we discuss exactly this part of the pipeline. It's ready, everything's ready. The main steps are basically about defining orthogonality conditions, looking at making things more stationary, dropping outliers, defining metrics that makes things more Gaussian. Pass me the term, machine learning is good for Gaussian things and for stationary things. Finance is neither of those things. So there is some unsupervised learning to be done to provide the machine learning models you build a good representation of the system we have to predict. But yeah, once again, the paper is out. And what did I miss? Yeah, orthogonality. We're doing some other research that maybe I can discuss in the following slide. But yeah, you can already test this and look both at the data we have associated with the paper and at the paper itself.
And yeah, great. You described it greatly, Matteo. And just one thing is, you may see your score dropped again in terms of Spearman correlation, but behind these scores yield much more performance. I mean, it's not comparable, but the modeling will be maybe a bit more difficult. Since you may have to go deeper, but you will go deeper in a better data, in much more qualitative data.
Let me address Jeremy's question. So what's the feedback on your presentation at various events you attended? I would say in general positive. Did you, and then I'll add the main consideration. Did you change anything based on those remarks? We didn't change anything beside some minor things about outlier detection, and so how to handle non-stationarity. But I think that's not even part of the paper itself. It's just some work we did before in the pipeline. So I wouldn't even call it feature engineering. The main criticism that we saw coming from right from the start, but was a necessary step, was the fact that in orthogonalizing every feature to risk factors, we are basically removing information about the components of these vectors in the basis represented by the risk model. This, of course, in principle, reduces the predictive power of the models built on top of this data set. We knew this, but with this move, we are able to keep working in the same way, aligning, as I said before, the incentive of having a good Spearman, a good correlation with the target, with having a good performance. Ideally, and actually this is part of the roadmap again in 2 slides, ideally we should have a feature space, a representation of the market, which is both orthogonal and parallel to the risk model, but constrain the models to be orthogonal to the risk space, let's say. Let's talk geometrically. And this is research we have to do. As we said, these data are proprietary, so we can share those, but we can try to set up some more fancy pipeline that could...
If I can add something, Matteo, I think one big discussion we had at the end of the presentation at ADML, was whether it was right to get rid of all the to neutralize for factor exposure. And I know that Jeremy, you're actually working on other tournaments where the idea is the tournaments they keep the information of the exposure to factor, but they ask you to neutralize as much as you can. So basically, the job has to be done by the data scientist. In our case, we want to make sure that the signal we'll get from the predictions is orthogonal to factors. So it's only alpha, it's pure alpha. So we go a little bit further in neutralizing the features for all the factors. That is research. It doesn't mean we're using it as much to this point in the data set, but that's very interesting for us to test this hypothesis.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, because obviously, if we, I mean, before we realized that when you were building model, you were like both Arnaud and Matteo saying, maybe I'm just rephrasing, but the model was still carrying some information that was very well explained by the model that we tried to neutralize in the portfolio optimizer behind. So obviously, this information is not needed. So we end up with Spearman of 30% because like 29% of this Spearman information is actually already explained by most of the factors that we don't want to expose ourselves to. So we had to find some solution.
Great. Let's.
Oops,
yeah,
sorry.
Sorry. Let's move to the next point, maybe. Yeah, just there is something that we didn't say. I think you understand it now, but what is green has been done is like about to be released, and white it's what lies ahead of us. Do you have some interesting point that you want to talk about, Jean, for the past things that we've done?
Well, the optimizer V1. Matteo, do you want to talk about it briefly?
Yeah, so this was work of the previous quarter. It's a bit more than traditional model portfolio theory. So it's integrating a risk framework in trying to maximize alpha subject to a set of constraints. So it's technically it's complex optimization, and this we implemented in the language we use for all the pipeline, which is Python, so that it's easy to integrate, test variations. So yeah, this was coded last quarter. We are integrating more and more on one side the non-Gaussianity aspect. So it's actually called the postmodel portfolio theory, and machine learning aspects, which are kind of really similar if you think about the relation between kernel methods and machine and the neural networks. Yeah, V1 is about.
Matteo, also the goal is to, because we're building this optimizer internally, we want to share this in the DeSci platform as soon as possible, so that we can actually, I mean, you could almost use it yourself to see what the optimizer does. Obviously, you need the risk factor, which is complex, but we want to share it so that people who have skills in this area can give us input. I think it's very interesting for us to share.
Thanks, Arnaud.
About the multimodal. So multimodal is about having participants that can submit several times every week. Let's say you have different kind of models and you want to submit them in a pure form. You don't want to ensemble it into one data set that you send. One submission that you send. And we wanted to release it. It's ready, but if we do multimodal on multi-strategy, to be honest, it creates way too much complexity, both in terms of UX and UI. And I mean, it's already, I mean, the platform is already kind of packed with information. Even if we already removed so many that was not useful, we still believe that we want to release the multimodal possibility right after the master dataset. So once we will have just one dataset, we will be able to focus on building, I don't know, 5, maybe 10 models on the master dataset and monitor them and earn crunch according to their individual performance. So This is a bit blocked by the master dataset, but it's already, the infrastructure is ready. We can release right after the master dataset. The new risk model, it comes last quarter. It created this new target V4. That was a lot of work. Obviously, we had to implement this into the research, and we discover a much more complex factor model with a multi-model. We were working with only 3 factors before. We end up with much more now. This is done, implemented, new targets, new optimizer, and ready to move on. Yes, we had also a new universe that is much more, which is much more better. It's super close to the reality of what is actually tradable for the capacity that we are targeting with this fund. I mean, for the product that we are building. So obviously, this was quite some work, and you remember we had like a lot of change in the cross section back then. Then UX engineering, that's your work, Ben.
Yeah. So you can see that. I mean, we have been doing a great work, and it's been taking a lot of time to build the best UX for the best competition, guys. So and for the best gamification, because you can see obviously that it's something that is coming. Gamification levels. It means more modern backend. It means more modern UX. It means more skin in the game. So we've been working on this, and I think you've seen already some mockups, but I will show you the final one. They are here, and so you see, it's taken some time. So we will have a new onboarding. So you see, like, whatever, it's a new platform. Then we'll have also a questionnaire to be able to get to know you better after the registration process, or the onboarding process is a bit different. There is something also here that I want to show you. It's this. You've seen that we are onboarding people one by one, and we are actually now selecting people, because until October, we were a quite open community, and we decided to become way more exclusive. And I can tell you that now, since October, we are selecting around 25% of the people that are applying to the DAO are selected, and the rest is rejected. So not everyone can enter. And with time, we will make the selection process heavier and heavier, because after all, we are not here to be thousands and thousands. We are here to be the perfect number for the meta model, and we are here to share the profit all together, guys. We will become more and more and more exclusive by the selection, and also with the gamification levels that will come, and that will give you some attributes and some specific rewards. There will be a limited numbers. This is also following the staking proposal of correlators that said that we had to select only 100 heroes on which people could stake on. So this is something that we have in mind, and I can share with you also the next the performance profile. So it will be your profile with the model that you will be able to select. You will have your global performance, your scientific performance, because now we have the DeSci platform, your social performance, your Discord interactions will be also counted. This will be your activity graph, your civilian duties graph, where you can share news with the world. Students levels, starting with students, intern, analyst, expert, and at the end, the partner level. There will be very few partners, I can tell you that now, and quests that you will be able to do. So I will not dig too much into the details right now, but this is something we've been doing. You see, it's a big. It's took a lot of time, and I hope that you will enjoy this new platform, because it took some time to do it. And the good news is that we found the developer because we need to have some help in the backend, and so it's not I mean, has a lot of things to do, and we needed some help. So it took some time to find the best, and we think we found it. So as I'm speaking now, it should start actually today, and we will give you the news for this platform. Let's go back to the roadmap. Then roadmap is here. Yeah, I think we've done all the slide. Do you want to say some stuff, Jean?
I think we cover almost everything. Yeah, the 5-week scoring. Then we will go into multi-model that's coming. The meta model V2. Maybe Matteo, we didn't cover that.
Yeah. So we have been doing research since many months now about how to best ensemble the set of predictions we receive, and in many ways, what we face is a level 2 machine learning, level 2 CrunchDAO tournament in which instead of features we have individual submissions, and we want to have in many ways similar properties to the submissions, to what individual submissions have with respect to the master dataset. So in many ways, the research we've been doing on feature engineering can be used to as being guiding the meta modeling version 2. Ensemble averaging can start from something as similar as a simple mean, weighted mean, weighted median, based on the performance, based on the skin in the game. Or one can think, as I said, as a layer 2 machine learning problem and use boosting tree to best fit the set of submissions to have a desired performance. These second solutions, more extreme solutions, let's say, are more performant, but much more volatile, less robust. So we'll probably converge to an in-between, let's say, of the two extremes I mentioned. But yeah, this is where we are pushing towards. And also, I see a question in the chat about content creation. Ben, I don't know if you can address it.
Yes, of course. Nasiruddin, actually, the content creation just started. I mean, actually, it was here since months. It's true that we are not communicating on it. I mean, we communicated on it actually last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago. But this is obviously something that we are waiting for. We are looking for tutorials, guys. We are looking for people that want to do video creation. We are looking for people that can relay our message on the social media. So this is something that we are willing to, this is one of the priority of the marketing of the DAO. And it's true that today it's not well framed. And it's why I'm setting up, it's actually, we can go to the next slide, which is here. We are setting up an improved bounty platform because today we've seen a lot of people that want to help, but they don't know how to help. And for us, it's a bit difficult to coordinate the things. So it's why it's a bit a problem. So this is, we should be ready by, I mean, next week or in the next 15 days, I guess. We'll have an improved bounty platform. We will use a solution that is called Crew 3. That is a very good solution for the bounties, and we'll put everything that you can do with the reward. So I guess that's something. I hope it answers your question as you wanted. Maybe I can let Jean speak about the daily payouts, which is something that we've done, but you already know that, I guess.
Yeah. So daily payouts, we went from, I think it was, we had some problem with the scoring. We had some bug at the times, and we finally managed to stabilize. When it was stabilized, there is no more reason to do not score on a daily basis, since we have daily feedback from the market. So this is what is currently happening. And it's working pretty well. I see very much less volatility in the leaderboard, which I think is also good for the payouts.
Great.
The CBL
Yeah.
protection, one-to-one onboarding.
Yeah,
you
so
mentioned.
that's something that I have already said. It's part of the exclusivity roadmap. We have this exclusivity roadmap, and we believe that now we are CB proof. We are monitoring it. We know, I can say it. We know that we have some tweak to do, but it will be done at the right time. But now we believe that we are CB proof, and it's this one-to-one onboarding makes that we are getting to know every member, and that's something that is very important for us. And this is, I think, one of the biggest thing in the community now. It's we want to know you, we want you to know other members, and that's what we want. That's part also has the heavier selection process. I said that in Q4 actually it was like I don't want to say we closed the community, but we stopped the open the gate were not open anymore, and you need to ring the bell before entering the door. Now it will be heavier and heavier, and in the end, what we plan is the KPI for all of us, which will be the number of crunch per member, and we want it to grow obviously, so that in the end we'll be the most generous community. That's the game for us. We don't want to be thousands and thousands. We want to be the perfect number for the meta model. And I think that the one that has the answer is Matteo, that will say we need how many members, and then that will be the number. Otherwise, Matteo, maybe you can talk about DeSci London, how it went.
Yeah, so we went in DeSci London. It's a conference in London about decentralized science. We sponsored an hackathon, and we also managed to present some of the integration we did in the platform. Maybe we talk about this later, but we are working more and more on using IPFS, not only for the paper itself, but also for data associated with the generation of results in the paper. And so yeah, we started doing some experimentation in the context of DeSci London. There are many solutions for, let's say, wrapping either on-chain technologies or IPFS that allows easily to have something like a data version control that could be really good for reproducibility. So we are, let's say, DeSci London triggered some research on the front of either on-chain or IPFS-based databases.
Thanks, Matteo. We will, as I said, we will implement the levels as soon as the new mockup are implemented. You will see that there will be levels, but this is something that we need to talk about. The rewards and the what levels can do what, and what are the rewards per levels, and this is something that we will start the discussion in next weeks about this, so that in the end of Q2 we can be over with that. Also, what we'll do is that we'll open. This is something that I see on the onboarding. I have so many people that are asking, like, can we team up? Can we team up? No, you can't. I'm sorry, but we want to implement the feature, so it will be done end of Q2, hopefully, or maybe in the middle of Q2. I don't know. It will be maybe Teams or Banner or Tribe. We don't know yet. This is something we need to work on with you, and of course, we will implement it. End of the year, we also want to have exclusive community perks. It means that, I don't know, for based on your levels, for example, you will have perks, and it can be, I don't know, today we don't actually, but it can be license, or it can be data that you can access, or it can be, I don't know, a server or whatever. We can work that together, and this is something that we want to offer you. We'll have also a bonus scheme, I think, but this will be part of the levels also, and gamification, because we want, as I said, we want to be the most generous community, and we will try to implement this kind of bonus. We'll speak about it later. Ambassador program, I have Nasiruddin, who, and by the way, we have an ambassador here with us. Jeremy is the ambassador in the US. But it's something that is live but not working so well because we are not able to coordinate the ambassadors, and that's totally a problem. And this is something that we believe will be over. I mean, we will be able to make it work well after the levels and with the gamification, because we'll have incentive that will be more automatic and with tasks to do, and people will do it or not do it. But in the end, it will be much a better way to yeah. Okay, I think we can go to the DeSci roadmap because I see that it's 5 and I guess that we should move on. You all have something to do.
Yeah, okay, I'll be quick and not painful, but so we have, let's say, 2 verticals in DeSci. One is about the product, this DeSci platform, and one is about the content, so the research we're actually doing, using it, but in service of the DAO interests. What we started doing, I think it was September when we started, was some kind of research paper versioning, using it for research papers. Then the UX was constructed, and we actually did a feature which was really appreciated at DeSci London, which is the integration of GitHub and MetaMask. So the ability to log in into something, I mean, not log in, to interact with something which is centralized at GitHub with a decentralized technology like MetaMask, which was a really cool. I don't know how to say in English, but Enzo did a nice trick, let's say. So yeah, reproducibility-wise, we have a GitHub action in particular to trigger the creation of the papers from the content of a repository, so that the code can always regenerate the content of the paper. This is already done, and also the possibility of pushing a proposal or a peer review to an existing work is in production. And actually, the staking proposal, the CBIL resistance proposal, won by Correlator, was done using this technology. So following, we have recently worked on some tools that allows us to basically have a backward compatibility in some sense with existing literature, existing research done before. So the ability to take existing PDFs, research papers, and bring them back to Markdown and regenerate the PDF from the source code of the paper. This enables us to interact with the paper published in the past in the same way in which we interact with the papers we produce with this new framework. We are going to integrate VS Code. This is triggered by the fact that a number of community members would like to contribute to some paper anonymously, not only to the let's say the writing the paper, but also coding and producing results. So VS Code will be an interface like VS Code will be integrated in the platform to program everything, to populate every object inside the repository, inside the research container, let's say. As I said, from DeSci London, this is lower priority, but the idea is to have a database on IPFS or on chain. Probably IPFS is much easier. That allows us to version control data and have reproducibility. Yeah, possibility of working privately for teams that don't want to share their works which are not ready yet. So you can think this as something like overleaf, so a way to edit papers and not share them out yet. And then the possibility of producing from the same source object different formats of a paper. So in one click, one has the PDF version of the paper, maybe a page in HTML, which can be hosted on IPFS, by the way, that describes the paper, a notebook, which is more code-oriented, let's say, programming-oriented and less descriptive. And these things will come all around the third quarter. These last things I said around the third quarter to the end of the year. Research-wise, you see this the big blocks below. We did this work on feature engineering, which we presented at ADML in Abu Dhabi. The work which will follow the integration of the master dataset will be about benchmarking different, mainly boosting algorithms and languages. XGBoost, LightGBM, AdaBoost, and some interesting tools written in the Julia language. We will test them both in terms of efficiency and accuracy to have a benchmark model for everyone and for you to decide where to start from, let's say. The supervised learning point, it's kind of addressing the question that not that Jeremy asked, but the point about what we lose in orthogonalizing, and so the possibility of performing orthogonalization in the loop, or rather have a custom fitness that takes this into account, and that can make use of confidential computing to enable this without sharing confidential private data. Then ensembling, we are targeting a conference, I think it's going to be in the summer, for some game theory aspects. And it's interesting that, I don't know, I've never seen a place in which there's people talk about gamification and also about game theory. The CrunchDAO tournament is a perfect example of this. And as soon as we will start taking into account originality to reward people, they're gonna game theory aspects will emerge, and we need to study these aspects and provide the tools to interact with them in the best possible way without putting out a ill post tournament that you cannot hope to win, because the optimal behavior is not a function of the system, but also a function of the action of the other players. So we don't want that, of course. Then a paper on optimization will follow. What else? These are more down the line, but we are doing a work on using machine learning and topological data analysis in particular to detect crashes, the critical transition in financial time series. We're doing a work on using genetic programming to optimize in a combinatorial sense the search for features that can have informative power, and from there the idea, let's say the vision, is to go to be guided by Marco Lopez de Prado and arrive at some causal understanding of the systems we're building, and I believe passing through dynamical system theory. What is Jeremy saying?
Now we are.
Yeah. You know, there are both combinatorial aspects and purely optimization, let's say, more general optimization tasks, and genetic programming is really good. In particular, symbolic regression is a really interesting tool to look in this space. But yeah, then I would say it's not important to to talk about the last two works, which are outlining the vision for the end of the year. I think I talked enough.
Thank you very much, Matteo.
Thank you very much, Matteo, for your presentation. Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Arnaud. Thank you all from the. Thank you for your participation and your registration to this AMA. I'm hoping that we've answered all your questions, but if it's not the case, just please feel free. Also, I think that it might be potentially the last AMA of this season, because this Ex Machina revolution is almost done. We did the revolution. Hurrah. Let's move on to the next one, potentially. We'll see. We'll get back to you. Thank you very much to be here with us today, and please feel free to reach out to us if you have any question. Have a good day, or good night, or a good evening. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.